remember one night I saw a tortoise without a shell, and you can't imagine a more terrifying sight. And this thing, apparently, tortoises are a lot faster without the shell, I guess. And this thing was running around, soup, 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 chasing everybody. There's so many people out at night, and this thing was chasing them. And I was laughing because the sound of fear, really cracks me up. When you're watching a horror movie and people are, people are, getting scared, like, Wah! Like, that's for me like hilarious. And, and I'm just laughing at these people screaming. I don't know why the sound of fear warms me up inside. That's yeah, something for the psychologists to figure out. Anyways, and I'm not one to watch horror movies alone, by the way. I only watch it with people because I am a coward. Anyways, so so I'm laughing because the sound of fear really cracks me up, and apparently this thing really hates me laughing at it, and he thinks I'm laughing at him, but or her, ladies, I don't know. And yeah, so this thing chases me as well, and I'm running, and this thing is getting close. I can see it, in my rear view mirrors, because that's how we do. Anyways, then so just before it bites me, I just let out a little just a nice little scare fart, a fear fart, if you will. And those are real. We have those. They exist. And apparently, tortoises are scared of farts. They probably can't say anything about it or do anything about it because they have that shell. But this guy had he was shellless, and he ran away. And yeah, that was quite a relief. So anyways, I woke up, and yeah, there was some brown in my pajamas pants. Stop Welcome back to the show, everybody. We are all over the show with your host, Xavier, the host doing the most or not doing anything at all. I'm just here to talk nonsense, and you are here to listen and enjoy it. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing good. I hope you're being good to yourselves, and I hope that you're not taking life too seriously. Because honestly, why should you? If our lives are gonna end up at some point again where we are on our deathbed or we've passed away already, geez, man. And then you spend your life taking things seriously. It's like, you need to have a balance. You need to enjoy it sometimes. And so that's where I am in life. I really I recognize the importance of enjoyment, the importance of entertainment, the importance of balance, because you can't just be all work and no play. You have to work hard and play hard. And that is a solid way to live, I believe. Just don't play too hard, though. Yeah, I would say make it like a 60-40 or like a 70-30. Yeah, I think that's a good ratio for me. 70% work, 30% fun. I think that might be a bit off balance, to be honest, but who cares? It's my life. Okay, it's my life. Anyways, so yeah, welcome to the show. I hope you've subscribed already. Please do if you haven't. If this is your first time watching, welcome. This is just a show where I go all over the place with whatever's on my mind. I explore things. There is a little bit of preparation, obviously. I don't want to be too. I want to be able to deliver a solid product to you as the listener and the viewer, if you're on YouTube or Spotify. And that just requires some preparation. But for the most part, I'm just off the cuff, just speaking whatever's on my mind. Sort of like almost like a therapy session for myself, actually. And you're just here to witness the mind of a absolute lunatic. So welcome, if you welcome to that. And yeah, please, like I said, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Yeah, subscribe and let me know what your thoughts are on the show, what you think in the comments. Even on Spotify, there's a place where you can tell me what you thought about the episode, what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy. I mean, I am trying to grow the show. Oh, by the way, look, we have a new little background. We are upgrading. We are moving forward in life, and life is really good right now. Life is not always great. And I think that you have to appreciate and enjoy when life is good, because it comes in cycles, doesn't it? You're gonna have your good times, and then you're gonna have your really terrible times. And yeah, and then followed by the terrible times is once again the good times. But it's also a matter of perspective, I guess, because you could be in a terrible place in your life, a terrible set of circumstances, or let me say less than ideal set of circumstances, but you could still make the best of it. And I guess that's what I've learned to do lately, with the hardships that I've experienced in the recent past. And I'm not gonna like go into too much detail about that, but because we all have it, life happens to all of us. I'm not special, my problems are not special. You are not special, your problems are not special. Maybe you are special to someone, but your problems certainly are not special. That's we all life is happening to everybody, and you really it really puts things in perspective when you really listen to other people's problems. My brother likes to make the example sometimes that when we complain a lot, because you sometimes end up in a place in your life sometimes where you complain a lot, you have a lot to complain about, and then someone else will put the like he makes the example, like, imagine you put all your complaints on the table, and someone else also puts their complaints on the table, and someone else, like, there's a bunch of people at this table. And now imagine if you can see someone else's problems, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna take mine back, because because some people have it a lot worse, and there's always someone that has it worse than you. And that's not to diminish whatever you're going through, but I think it makes the experience a bit lighter, a bit easier, if you can appreciate that your problems are not as bad as it could be. And I think that's a life-changing perspective for some people, and for me as well. It's like, oh, my problems are not bad, compared to other people's problems. Genuinely, compared to other people's problems, my current problems are, I'm just grateful for them, actually. Good problems is what I have at this point, and that's why I can say life is good. I'm not just saying it as a thing to say, as a cliche. I genuinely mean it. I do believe that at this point my life is going swimmingly, and I just want to just take a moment to appreciate that. I have a lot to be grateful for. I have this podcast, this show that I do, which is fun. I love this. It's a real nice part of my a part of my job. Um, Part of my life. It's a enjoyable part of my life. I have responsibilities, which I'm also thankful for, even though they are less than ideal. More on that later, for sure. There's definitely a story about that coming up, but and then yeah, I have a job that I love, that I enjoy, and that's for me fortunate in two ways. The first way is that I actually have a job that is super fortunate, because especially in South Africa, so many people are sitting without work, you know. Um, so I'm fortunate in that way, and then I'm also fortunate in the other side of things, that it's a job that I absolutely enjoy, because there's a lot of people working out there who are not having a good time of it. They're miserable, but they have to do it because they have to either see to their own survival or the survival of others. So I consider myself extremely fortunate to, first of all, have a job, and second of all, to have one that I really enjoy. Um, and I'm thinking about it, like, what would have been my dream job as a kid? My dream was to be a race car driver, and one day I will 100% go and race, son. I will definitely do that. Just even if it's a hobby, a thing I do on the weekends, fine. But I want to do that because that's my childhood dream, is to race cars, man, on a track. Oh my goodness. It just lights me up, you know. Um, it's always been a dream of mine. But anyways, yeah. But I'm currently loving the dream as well, man. I'm a musician, and I work as a musician. There's nothing better than that, except maybe racing cars. So yeah, I have a lot to be grateful for. Please tell me what you are grateful for in the comments as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. By the way, I've been inviting a lot of you to say something in the comments, but I guess a lot of you are shy, which is okay. Okay, but I dare you, and I encourage you. Please, let's have some engagement. I'd love to know who's sitting here watching. I'd love to know a little bit about you, and that's why I pose these questions. So yeah, tell me, what was your childhood dream? And you can tell me what's your childhood dream, and tell me what you're doing now. Tell me your childhood dream and what you're doing now. So yeah, you could just let me know in the comments. I think that would be super interesting. And yeah, man, I think there's a lot of people that have awesome jobs that from the outside perspective they have an awesome job. Like if you're a CEO of a company, or if you are a fireman, or if you're a doctor. Those jobs all seem awesome, but a lot of people are sitting in those jobs and they are having a rough time of it. Like I can just imagine how traumatic it must be to be like a doctor. How do you separate yourself from the suffering of others? That is for me impossible. I think for me I'm just too connected to people, or I try to be empathetic, or not try even, it just happens. And so when you are confronted with the suffering of others, oh my word, it is, yeah, you just can't get it out of your mind. And even now, every single piece of suffering I've witnessed is just flooding back into my memory. So, but anyways, we're keeping it light. I don't want to get too deep and dark on this show. It's not that kind of show. I'm just trying to have you enjoy it, trying to get some laughs. I think that's just me seeking approval, and that's and that is what it is. I seek approval. I'm owning it. I am owning it. I'm not gonna be one of those people where you hear a truth bomb about yourself and you deny it flat out. You're like, no, no, I would never try to seek people's approval. I do, okay, and it's fine. I think it's a normal part of life. I think it's gonna be. It is what it is. Xavier, you like the attention, the affection, the yeah, you just like it, man. So just accept that, and I do. And I'm leaning into it even. Give me more attention, give me more affection, give me more. What is the first word I used? Approval, attention, affection, approval. The three A's. And how appropriate, because triple A batteries are the small ones, right? And that's me. So yeah, but a lot of energy, small but a lot of energy. And they say dynamite comes in small packages, but I've never really seen small dynamite. So, and I'm pretty sure there are explosives that are much more potent than dynamite, but come in a smaller package. So yeah, they say that a lot, but I mean, I guess all explosives come in a small package. I never thought about that before, except a nuclear bomb. Um, I keep getting recommended to watch Oppenheimer. I still haven't. Apparently, it's an amazing film, but I don't know. I feel like when I need to watch serious stuff, I need someone with me, someone to watch with me, because just to absorb some of the tension. Because I don't like watching serious stuff alone. I like light-hearted things. I like comedy. Even action comedy. Sometimes like an action movie is too much for me. Like it just gets too serious. Then I start trying to make jokes for myself to try and enjoy it, and that's not right. It's just not my style. I want to watch something funny. I like laughter. I like that feeling. What a good feeling that is when a real deep laughter comes into you. Oh man, that is a feeling I chase often. But anyways, speaking of watching things, I've been watching cartoons lately. Specifically, okay, I'm a fan of cartoons. I love cartoons. Animations are super fascinating, super interesting. Um, just ideas people come up with. But it occurred to me while I was watching Adventure Time, especially, what a weird and wacky show that is. Uh, you know, and then I just thought to myself, wow, man, like I think people who do cartoons, they must be on drugs, man, like severe severe drugs. Like give me what they use, because like just think about the characters that you see on Adventure Time, right? You have Finn the human, and he seems to be the only human in the whole thing. He's the only human. Then you have a dog. He has a dog, Jake, who can change his size, his shape. He can turn into anything, like if you're like, Jake, turn into an aeroplane, boom. Now we're flying, dude. You're not gonna convince me otherwise that the people that came up with that show are not on drugs, dude. Um, Rick and Morty, come on, man. That's a weird, weird, weird show. Even I'm pretty sure a couple of stoners came up with what's that show called? Regular Show, with Mordecai and Rigby and Benson and Pops. And I just love Pops. He's my favorite character on that show. He's like, Mordecai, Rigby, look at what I have. It's called tents. And tents are pants mixed with a table. Good show. That's my Pops impression. But anyways, I love that. I love the cartoons, man. One of my favorite cartoons is Family Guy. Okay, now I know a lot of people are like Simpsons fans. Not really that big of a fan of the Simpsons, but but Family Guy, man. Family Guy, every episode knocks it out of the park. There's always an interesting story, and it's just packed with jokes and that like deliberate jokes. Like here's a joke, here's a joke, here's a joke. You hardly ever get time to even breathe. And oh man, I absolutely love that. So if you're looking for a laugh, and it's really silly stuff, um, and I like silly things because I'm a silly guy, you know. Yeah, that's just one of my favorite shows there. And then also South Park. Oh my word, what an insane show is South Park. Just these kids who apparently stay the same age for the past 24 years. I think South Park is maybe 24, 25, almost as old as I am. And yeah, all the characters in South Park are still the same age. They're still kids. They're still, in grade what? Grade 4, I think. I don't know. Fourth grade, if you will, if you're from America. I know some of my viewers are from there, which is mind blowing. Um, but anyways, let's see. What else do I have here? Obviously, like I said, I've prepared some stuff. Especially when the thoughts run out or when we lose steam a little bit. Um, but yeah, anyways, I just want to know, animation people, what are you guys on, man? Because I know something has to be afoot there. Either that or they super creative people, which is more likely. But I like the funnier idea that they're using drugs. Like, give me whatever you're on, if it's LSD or ketamine or mescaline or whatever, psilocybin, whatever those psychedelics are. Give me some. I wanna see. I also wanna dream in cartoon form. you know. But yeah, what else has been going on lately? Let's see what has been going on. Oh, it was Mother's Day on Sunday, and that was a tough Mother's Day, to be honest. First Mother's Day without my mom. That was a tough one. We would always make breakfast for her, like breakfast in bed. But obviously, we need to do it early because we still have to get ready for church and all that. Um, but yeah, we always try to make like breakfast in bed for my mom, and give her a nice little gift of perfume or pajamas or flowers or whatever, just a nice little card, nice thoughtful little gift. And that was always something that we did. And this year we just didn't do it. And oh man, it's heartbreaking, genuinely heartbreaking to see Mother's Day being celebrated by others, and your mom is no longer there. She passed away in late November of 2023, and it just hasn't been. I guess there's still a lot of other firsts that are coming up. In February was her birthday, and that's like also a brutal, feeling, to celebrate a lost loved one's birthday. Um, and then it was Mother's Day, which is rough. And then even Christmas, we celebrated Christmas for the first time without her, and that was tough. Christmas, New Year's, her birthday, and now Mother's Day. And but yeah, so I was at work. I work at a school chapel, and they have services every Sunday. So me and the master of choirs, the choir master, if you will, we shout out Mr. Prince, and then we decided to sing a song. We sang a song just in the spirit of Mother's Day, in honor of Mother's Day. And we sang it in a portion of the service where they decided to light candles for all the mothers who are no longer with us. And man, that got me so emotional. I'm actually only able to talk about it now, but on Sunday, it was brutal for me. But, not brutal, it was just emotional. I'm not going to say it was brutal. But anyway, so then we performed this piece. Now, I played on the piano, and got this piano. And not this piano, but another piano. And Yeah, which I'm very excited to have more content coming your way soon. And yeah, we performed it on the piano. You raised me up. It was like a duet, male duet, and it was touching. What was really touching was the amount of people who were, in tears, at that service. And oh man, it was like, I think seeing people, being emotional, that triggers me to be emotional. So, but I'm not gonna be emotional here. So if you came for that, you can stop watching now. But yeah, it was beautiful. And later on, I just felt grateful that through music I was able to provide some sort of profound feeling for others, and that's something that I guess my mom would have always wanted me to do, was just to have a positive impact on others. So yeah, I feel like I've made her proud in that, and every Mother's Day I'm gonna try and do that, to just make other people feel special. There's a lot of there's a lot of people without mothers out there. There's also a lot of ladies without children, who basically are other people's mothers. And I personally know some people like that who in my life who have been as a mother to me. And those people I appreciate, as well. And I think those are the ones that I will be celebrating from now on when it comes to Mother's Day. I'm just thinking of this now, actually. Those ones who are not my mother, but who might as well be. Those ones are the ones that I'm gonna celebrate. So shout out to you guys as well, you ladies. I love you, and you guys are really amazing. Anyways, enough soft business. Goodness, I wonder how we're doing on time, actually. I actually should have just checked the time. Let me quickly see there. I'm recording. Okay, we're about 20 minutes in. Okay, cool. We can still carry on. Sometimes when I'm enjoying myself, I lose track of time. And I don't want to have now a 3-hour episode. We can maybe do a 3-hour episode if I have a guest on or something. That would be really fun. But obviously, I have places to go and people to see, responsibilities to execute, and all that. But anyways, uh, what else? What else can I really share with you guys? Yeah, I think what I find interesting about myself is when it comes to performance, because this is also something I noticed on Sunday. I'm not nervous. And I used to be nervous when it comes to performing. When it comes to performing anything, if I have to write a test, you have to perform, right? You have to perform academically. And it just wouldn't go well. The nerves would just become too overwhelming. I would be anxious, I'd be stressed out, and then I would just go blank. That was always a rough feeling. Eventually you feel like, why do I bother studying? And then I don't study, and then I do extremely well, and then I'm like, this is confusing, you know. But I guess they never really figured out school for me. I guess I should have tried to figure out how school might work for me, and try to help the teachers to say, teachers, maybe this can be a way that I can learn better, because the way that you are doing it is not good for me. You might be a wonderful teacher, but for me, I'm feeling like an idiot over here. But because, like, for example, you'd be reading a book, in school, and then it's like, maybe you're reading a book and it's the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And you say, Goldilocks was walking through the forest one day, and she was feeling so hungry, so she saw the the house, and so the story goes on, yada yada. And then I'm thinking, yo, well, I wonder where the name Goldilocks comes from. Like, what language is that? And then the pictures show that she's got this hair, and okay, so her hair's blonde, but blonde and gold are not really they are not the same. Like, it's why, where does that even come from? And then you trip further. You're like, okay, but what if people's hair was gold? I guess they would look a bit more like, the top color of the Duracell battery. But that's more like a copper feeling. And then you're like, okay, copper and electricity. Oh, that's interesting. And while I'm thinking of all this stuff, the rest of the class are reading the book. And I'm like, now when we write a test about it, I have no idea what's happening, because I am still thinking about Goldilocks and her hair that's clearly blonde and not gold. Just Let's just have some accuracy in children's books, please. Anyways, so that was like how school went for me constantly, you know. You're like, okay, guys, here's X and here's Y and here's Z, and whatever values, and this is how you find the value of X. Okay, X equals, or actually, let's do this. It's 37 plus X equals 40 something. And you're like, okay, well, that's interesting that now we have letters instead of numbers. I guess we have to figure out the value of the letter then. Okay, cool. Then you carry things over more. So, but in the meantime, I'm just like still tripping on it. Like, why X though? Why didn't they choose other letters? You know? Why didn't they just make other symbols instead of letters? You know? And you're like, I wonder where letters came from, you know, because you like look at like the Greek alphabet. Okay, that's interesting. There's less letters than there are in the English alphabet. Okay, and then you think about like, I wonder how the Chinese alphabet works, because it's all these little scratches, you know, these little brush strokes. And then you look at like Russian, and Russian is also a whole complete. There's some of the letters look like it's two letters combined, and there's backwards letters and upside down letters, and you're like, how does you just can't comprehend that? And while I'm going down that rabbit hole in my head, everybody else is learning about maths, and I'm just not. so so yeah, that was just my learning experience. I hope they figured out by now how to get kids like me to pay attention, because jeez, without drugging you, of course. I think it's actually bonkers, and I say bonkers because I don't want to say insane. It's more than insane. It's bonkers, man. Pure bonkers. Anyways, so I'm gonna stop saying anyways. I promised myself I need to stop saying anyways. Bonkers. It's crazy. Doesn't anybody else think it's insane to drug children? Are we okay with this? Oh, your child can't sit still in class or pay attention? Let's drug him. What? Let's not drug the child. Now the child is drooling, and the child doesn't see colors, and the child is also still not paying attention because the child is like, mentally dead. Like, come on, man. Let's figure out a different way. But obviously I figured out my own way of learning. I've had to, otherwise I was gonna drown in school. So for me, like, maybe if you're someone like me who has certain executive function issues, and that's really what ADHD is. It's an issue with executive function. Sorry for the hooting, it's very distracting. Oh my word. I get a little pang of anger whenever there's a noise that I can clearly tell is picking up here. Oh my goodness. But anyways, so, and there I go with anyways again. And then where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Hey, that's the first time I've lost my train of thought for the whole episode. I am proud of myself. Oh, I was actually speaking about this thing that causes me to lose my train of thought. And yeah, so I'm like thinking to myself, okay, Xavier, you have to figure this out. You have an executive function issue. It's not about attention. It's not necessarily about being hyperactive, although those are parts of it. But the biggest part that I feel is about executive function. And executive function just simply means your ability to follow your own commands, or rather to act when a situation calls upon your action. For example, your room is dirty and you obviously need to clean it. But you take hours to get to the point where you even start cleaning, and those hours that before you actually start cleaning your room, you're riddled with anxiety about where to start and how to start and how it's gonna look at the end. And maybe you got distracted, you picked up the first thing and you're like, wow, look at this thing, what is this? I didn't even know I had this in my room. You're just doing all that, and then it's like, and then you just haven't cleaned your room. And that is what an issue with executive function is. And finally, when you do get into the zone of it, and then you get interrupted, and that's what they call interruption rage. You're like, leave me alone, But I don't do that much anymore. I try to just breathe in, just relax. I'm not sick, by the way. I think my nose is just blocked up or something. There are flowers in the house, and I think that's probably what's causing my issue here. But I read a thing, I read a thing that said an article. I shouldn't use the word thing. That's not proper language use. I read an article exploring the benefits of a carnivore diet. So one day I'd love to just test it out for a month and see how it affects me, because a lot of the people have reported saying that their allergies go away completely. They don't have any more allergic issues once they started eliminating carbohydrates altogether and only eating meat and certain greens, like for example a salad, like a green salad. But for some people, they have eliminated the meat, still have the greens, but then still have like the some of the issues like inflammation issues and if someone suffers from an autoimmune disease, they still have some autoimmune symptoms, or people that have sleep apnea, or people that have insomnia, or people who, when they sleep for so long that when they wake up, the world is ended. Those types of people, or when you wake up, you feel so groggy and you feel so. But now, when you only eat meat, then you don't experience any of that, and that's what I'm excited for. Because imagine you have a uh, um, extra testosterone, for example, but like when you wake up in the morning, you're energized, you don't feel sleepy. Wouldn't that be awesome to be able to wake up and not feel sleepy? Like, geez, man, I would absolutely love that feeling, because it takes me so long to get out of that sleepiness. I have to force myself to just be like, yeah, it's a new day. And that normally works, but it takes a while. It takes some time to wind it up. So it would be cool to just be able to wake up and get on with it. um, I also really wish, as human beings, that we didn't need sleep. Like, let's figure this out, man. You know, it's nothing about fuel. If our fuel levels are low, because that's hunger. That's a different thing. So why do we need to sleep why does sleep happen? Why does sleep happen? Uh, because I guess it's a type of rest. But then you can also say, but Xavier, the brain is a lot more active during sleeping than it is during being awake. So what does that account for then? And then you might say, well, you need to rest. It's maybe not just your brain, but your body as well. You need to lay down. You need to put yourself on a shelf. Put yourself on a shelf. And that's what sleeping is technically. You put yourself on a shelf when you are not using you. And then when it's time to use yourself again, you get off the shelf and you get on with the day. It's like it's basically like parking for your body. And your body is really the vehicle, isn't it? You are not your body. And I think now I'm definitely getting into going all over the place. I don't even know where I started this conversation. But anyways, so your body is you are really a vehicle. You are not your body. You have a body. I think what we are, is you. If I have to really boil it down, I think break it down. What we are is a brain and nerves, I guess. Our entire living experience is happens through our brain and our nerves, because our experience of the natural world is through all the nerves that carry information from our senses. Like our eyes are a type of sensor, our skin is a type of sensor, all the way to our brain, and then that's how we perceive the natural world. But it could just be a simulation, because a simulation can be so good that now I'm going into simulation theory. Fine, whatever, let's just go on for the ride. And I still don't know what my original point was, but it's fine. We're getting through it. We're moving. So you could say that because that's how we experience the world, through our nerves and through our perception, which is our eyes, and all that is communicated to our brain, we could be fooled into thinking that this is the natural world, when maybe it isn't. And who's to say that the colors you see are not the same colors that I see? Because what if your what if I'll never know this, but what if your blue is my green? It's just that when you see what I call blue and what you call blue, we just call it that because that's the color we recognize. But who's to say that my blue and your blue is different? You know, is the same color. I don't, it's possible that it isn't because yes, the frequencies are the same. You might not know what I'm talking about here. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay. I'm just gonna carry on with it. I love how I'm able to dive into a topic and then still simultaneously be like on the meta level of the topic and still be able to analyze the topic while I'm engaging in the topic. So I'm above as well as below. I am out of my mind is what I am. Anyways, just bear with me on this. It's really interesting to think about. Like, if I see a pink bottle, which I have right there, it's standing over there, you just can't see it because you are a camera. It's over there. So when I see pink, right, the frequency of the light being reflected back to me is that of pink. Whatever the on the electromagnetic spectrum, the visible light spectrum, the colors that are being reflected from that is pink, meaning it's absorbing all the other colors because white light possesses all the colors of the visible spectrum. It absorbs those colors and only reflects back pink, and that is why I recognize it as pink. However, because our bodies are all different, it has the same parts and all that. You have eyes and a brain. I have eyes and a brain, but because it's because it's a unique, we're all unique and we're all built uniquely. You might recognize, like if I were to see things from your perspective, maybe I'd be like, that's not pink, that's purple, and then you'd be like, that's not pink, that's blue, like you if you were in my body. But yeah, I don't know, that's just an interesting thought experiment. Do we actually perceive the same colors? And I guess not. I'm willing to bet not, because your perspective is different from my perspective, and now we're going a bit deeper here, I think. And I think perception and perspective are interesting things worth exploring. One of the books that I'm reading is Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, and I will be reviewing that book in the future. Today's book review is a different one though, but I will be reviewing that book in the future when I'm done with it. And it is Nietzsche is a philosopher, German philosopher, was a German philosopher, and he deals with certain issues on morality, but also how that relates to our perspective. So what you might view as right and what I view as right could be different based on our perspectives. And so, and it's also based on perception. So it's not just your view of things, but how you choose to view it, what you choose to filter out and what you choose to allow in, also affects that. Like, for example, if I look at a race car, another person might see a beautiful work of art. An engineer might be like, this is a amazing, work of engineering. Um, Someone who's into aesthetics is like, this is the most beautiful car I've ever seen. A race car driver is thinking, how fast does it go? Does it perform well around the track? And if you are not into any of it, you might just see something, a car. Oh, it's a car, um, or someone who's obsessed with money might be like, they just see how much it costs. Like, oh my word, you're gonna spend so much on an engine and so much on a suspension and so much on an exhaust system and so much on a gearbox and so much on a transmission and so much on wheels and so much, just on all the different parts. They might see like price tags, price tags popping up on each of those things. Sorry, I think my nose is itching and I don't want to scratch it on this. But it's okay. I think we're almost at the end. I really should put a timer on in front of me. Okay, we're 40 minutes in. Cool. We've got 20 more minutes, I think. Oh, My nose is itching, bruh. I've also been trying accents lately. That's been fun. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so it's about who you are affects how you see things, your perception. So, and also your experience, and who you are is not just what you are, it's also the sum of your experiences and a little bit more than that. And that's why, okay, if I were to now just circle back to the idea that we are nerves endings, or we are nerves and senses and a brain, I think we're maybe more than that, because we're not taking into account consciousness, and everybody has a different consciousness, right? What makes us conscious? Why are animals not conscious? They might be aware, but they're not conscious. You know, they're not sentient, or are they? No, they're not sentient. Intelligence, sentience, and self-awareness. Maybe that's what animals lack. I think possibly they do have sentience, but it has different degrees. You know, like some animals are, for all intents and purposes, dumb. Like grasshoppers. There's been a lot of grasshoppers around lately, and I've been absolutely, it's really not nice when you're walking with your girlfriend trying to act cool and trying to be a tough guy when this thing, flies past you. It's green and it's orange, and you're like, ah! It's so embarrassing, man. Jeez, and I'm trying to be a cool guy. Trying to be a macho man in front of my lady, and now I'm looking like a straight up, I can't even say the word, a straight up muppet, I'm just trying to find a different word instead of the one I want to use, because we're keeping it clean on this show. I want everybody to enjoy it, everybody to watch it, and maybe one day after YouTube pays us, maybe we'll start dropping some. But I don't want to. I don't like profanity, man. I think there are more effective ways to communicate. However, I do believe that profanity can be used as an expression of emotion. I believe that. I think that's probably the most appropriate way of using profanity. But I think if you're using profanity for every little thing, it's too much. Okay, use it as an expressive tool to communicate exactly how you feel, because sometimes you just need a simple word like an f-bomb to be like, oh, that's how that person feels. If they could say, listen, I'm truly upset with you. But if you use a different word, they might be like, oh, this guy's actually serious about being upset or angry or whatever. So there's always that to consider. um but where was I going with this? I am on a ride today, honestly. um where was I going with this? Perception. Oh, I was talking about perception and perspective. But anyway, so yeah, I don't think that we are necessarily just the eyeballs and the nerve endings and the brain. I think we are embodied intelligence, embodied consciousness, and a lot of the theorists around artificial intelligence and artificial consciousness, a lot of them are a bit in agreement, a little bit, to a certain extent. They agree on, they can agree that to be fully conscious, you need to be embodied, meaning you need to have a vessel, um, from which you can operate and interact with the natural world. Um, if the natural world is even real, which it might not be. I love that idea. It's like always like a paranoia thing. You might be like, or even something that maybe can bring you some peace. You're like, okay, everything's falling apart in my life. It's fine, okay. But at least this might not be real at all. None of this might be real. You know, so that might even be a comforting thought for you. And sometimes that works for me. Sometimes you have to really delude yourself to bring yourself comfort, if it helps you. I think that makes sense, especially if it does no harm. I mean, if you are ignoring your problems, if you're using delusion to ignore your problems, that's obviously not helpful or useful. It might be more harm than good. But if you are, oh, sorry, if you're experiencing a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety as a result of things not going the way you planned or the way you expected, and there's nothing you can do about it, then I guess it does help to just delude yourself to say, you know what, everything is okay. You know, if it's something that there's no way you can deal with it, there's no way you can't do anything about it, then you might as well use delusion, man. I don't think being delusional is necessarily a bad thing. And that is a strange thought, because like imagine if you're a person, you're like, oh, this is bad. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore it and think about other things. Think about race cars, because that's what I've been thinking about this whole time. But anyway, so they say it again. But anyways, I wanted to say today's Tuesday. Tuesday, the what is the date? 14th of May. It's the 14th of May today. And yesterday, normally I do my episodes on a Monday. Yesterday though, I had to take my brother to home affairs. My younger brother. I have two brothers and one sister. And the middle one, the one who's 16, 17, I don't know how old he is. I don't know how kids' ages work, but okay. So he needed to go do his ID, and when you go to home affairs, you have to make an appointment, or it would be helpful to make an appointment. So we made an appointment, and his appointment was yesterday, and so we went. I took him there, and we told the people we have an appointment, and then just like go stand in that queue. I was like, what? We have an appointment. They're like, yeah, that's the queue for the people who have an appointment. And I'm like, okay, this totally defeats the purpose. It totally defeats the purpose. But okay, fine. We're gonna sit in this queue, and yeah, I guess I decided not to sit with him, just to give other people a seat as well. So I just sat on one of the available chairs elsewhere, not in the queue, but somewhere else. And this queue was moving so slowly. Oh my word, it was disturbing. But you have to be patient with these sort of things. If you're gonna participate in any sort of governmental bureaucracy, you can expect that things will be slow, and things will be inefficient, and things will be ineffective, and things will be really inconvenient. And that pretty much sums up the experience of the government. And I think I think no matter how well things go for any sort of ruling party within government, I think you can just expect that that's the lowest level of performance in any organization is gonna be government. I say this a lot, or I say this often. A government is just a poorly run business. It's just the that's because the goals are misaligned. Some people's goals, especially the people at the top, their goals are profit, even if those profits are ill-gained, right? Um, or ill-gotten, sorry, ill-gotten, not ill-gained. That's not a real term. A lot of people at the top, their priority are, ill-gotten gains. And for the people at the bottom, they're just in this day-to-day job that has no specific fulfillment feeling. And job satisfaction is just as important as salary. There's a lot of people out there who just have a salary, who are getting a salary, a decent salary even, one that covers their needs and also provides them with a lot of wants, but are totally miserable. As I said early in the episode, um, there are people like that who are just totally unhappy, even in the best of circumstances. Actually, I'm not sure I said that in the beginning of the episode or early in the episode. Whatever, maybe I thought it. Anyways, so yeah, so I think that's probably where the breakdown happens, is that these people are not part of a vision of something bigger than themselves. Or maybe they just don't feel that they are. And that is probably why people don't perform well in government, man, when it comes to, especially when it involves dealing with the public. Consider going to the municipal offices to go resolve a billing issue. Maybe they've billed you too much for your water that doesn't make any sense. They've added an extra zero. Mistakes happen like that. But then when you go and you deal with these people, oh my word, it's the most frustrating experience, um, but anyway, so we were there at Home Affairs, and yeah, it's as bad as everybody says it is. You're really just queuing all day, and fortunately for us, things were moving a bit fast. It was a slow day because obviously there were some empty seats, so that was helpful. But yeah, so my brother's guy. He sits in the queue for the. Oh, sorry. Oh, the word. Second yawn of the day. Anyways, they say when you yawn, you don't breathe properly. So, but I can't breathe properly. My one nostril is totally blocked. Anyways, so where was I? Oh yeah, at Home Affairs. So he's in the queue to have his photo taken because he's gonna go have his ID done, his first ever ID done. And we do this. We follow this whole process. This queue, literally 2 hours. We're sitting in this queue. Finally, he gets to the front. His picture gets taken. It doesn't take 2 minutes. It does not take 2 minutes. He gets told he must go to a different desk. So we go there, and there's also a queue at those desks. So okay, we're waiting, and this is where you do the application for the ID and all that. So we're sitting there, and I'm always asking people, listen, are you also here for this? What is like? Because I just want to know, are we in the right place? Because you never get the sense the whole time that you're at Home Affairs. You never really get the sense that you're in the right place until the point comes where you are being helped. Because there's no real signs like this is the queue for this. This is you're taking a guess. You're taking a gamble. Okay, this is where I should sit. I guess. And you just ask, listen, are you here to do this? Yes. Okay, cool. You just sit there. So that's your level of security, but you know as much as that person knows. That person might think they are in the right place when they are not. So it's a lot of uncertainty. You're in the queue waiting patiently, but it's difficult to be patient when you are, uncertain about where you are. But anyway, so finally we get to that queue. This is now the second queue that we're in. And finally we get to the front, and the lady that has been helping everybody gets up and leaves. She packs up, she's done. And I was like, no, impossible. How is this happening right now? Because she was helping the people that had an appointment, this long queue of people that had an appointment. But the queue for the people who didn't have an appointment was longer. So it's like, okay, it's better that we have an appointment. So she was helping the people who have an appointment. She's done. And in my head, I'm like, okay, the appointment did say 11 until 12. We got there before 11. It's 12 now. She got up and left. So I'm like, okay, now there's even more uncertainty. How are we gonna get here? How are we gonna get out of here? How are we gonna get what we need? Fine. There's a guy, luckily. He's like, okay, you guys, I will be taking over. You can come search here. And by the way, this is the first time we've been spoken to by anyone at Home Affairs, which is ridiculous. Overall a terrible customer experience. But anyways, that pretty much sums up the South African government. A terrible customer experience. Like when you pay for electricity, but the power gets cut 2 hours, 2.5 hours a day, every day. That hasn't been happening actually, but that's because elections are coming up. So the ruling party obviously wants to create a good impression. But don't be fooled, everybody. Let's just be on the same page here. We're not voting for those clowns anymore. We've given them enough time. We've given them 30 years of our lives, which is crazy because I'm not even 30 yet. But okay, we've given them enough time to get their eggs, ducks in a row. But I almost said eggs in a row, which makes no sense. But it's okay. I make no sense sometimes. Anyways, we've given them ample time to get their ducks in a row. They haven't. So that's on them. We're done. We're done with them. Anyways, then did I say anyways again? It's not even my favorite word. My favorite word is smorgasbord, by the way, and that is I think it's a Norwegian word or a Norse. I said Norwegian, or a Finnish word or a Danish word. I don't know, one of those. But it basically means like a platter or a buffet. And now I'm getting hungry because I'm thinking of a platter. Okay, the perfect platter. Definitely some chicken mayo toasties. Definitely that. Some ribs, chicken wings. There must be sauces. Some little cheese, toothpicks with cheese on them. Ooh. And those little cocktail onions? Oh man, I love those things. Put some a cocktail onion, piece of cheese, maybe a piece of cucumber, another piece of cheese, another cocktail onion. Give me more of that, Some meatballs, you dip that in that lekker sweet chili sauce. Oh my goodness. I wish it was socially acceptable to eat a platter by yourself, but it's not, you know. And also, I'm trying to see my six pack again. We're getting there. I'm 2 out of 6 for now. 2 out of 6. So that's not a good percentage, but we're getting there. What is 2 out of 6? That's 33%. That's 33%. So with 33% there, that's decent progress. And I think because I have been trying to do like daily adult fitness, you know, because I am an adult and I want to be fitness. So yeah, so I've been doing daily fitness, and what I don't tell you is that you kind of constantly not in pain, but you experience soreness. You know, like yesterday I did chest, so this area is really tender, and it's burning, almost like I'm pregnant. You know, real tender. Anyways, please don't report this, whatever I just did now. You know, I don't want to be cancelled. Oh my goodness, people were offended. Anyways, if you're offended, that's you, and you should probably, you know, if you get offended, just don't watch. Just don't watch. You know, why must you infringe on people's rights simply because you're offended? You have a right to be offended. I have a right to be offensive. I have a right to be offended. So maybe you could, you know, hurl some insults back at me if you feel insulted by anything I've said. Um, it'll probably be unresponded to because I don't care. I'm saying what I'm saying, and I believe in freedom of speech. You know, but I still don't wanna. I still don't wanna push YouTube to like remove my content. Please, that would be terrible. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yes, the platter. So the smorgasbord, and what else can be on there? What else can be on there? Ooh, maybe some of those little sausage rolls, but not sausage roll. The one with the cheese filling in. Oh my word, that is so delicious. Yeah, and I think that's kind of all that I would want on there. But the ribs, super important. Has to be some ribs on there. Ooh, maybe those cocktail hamburgers, you know, those little okies. Oh man, those ones are so nice. What do they call them? Sliders? But sliders are a bit bigger than cocktail hamburgers. Anyways, we are still at home affairs. And yeah, so then I go, and then I go, okay, I'm like, we're in the queue for to get to that to the next guy because the guy's like the lady left, the guy's like, okay, I will help the people who have an appointment. Great guy, fantastic. I tell my brother I'm gonna go use the toilet quickly. I go to the toilet, and the toilet is nice, you know, except that everything is broken. And that is also another thing that you can expect from the government. It's like, it's really nice, the tiles, beautiful tiles on the walls and on the floor. You know, the toilet looks, you know, like it used to be a solid toilet. The toilet paper dispenser is, you know, you could see it was a quality item at some point, but it just looks like someone went in there and destroyed everything and then left, and they look like they did that a number of years ago. Also, somebody had obviously wiped their bum or their fingers and then proceeded to to wipe it on the wall, and that's just how that's just, yeah, just let's just leave it there. I don't want to go into that. So I did my business, washed my hands with just water. So obviously I was in a panic the whole time. I was holding my hands like this, and I was like, I need to find sanitizer. And then luckily when my brother finally got to the front of the queue and he was helped, the guy was like, okay, we need some documents. I went to go fetch the documents in the car. Then I was like, oh, sanitizer. Oh, yes. And then I came back, and then I gave the guy the documents. Then he's like, are you his father? And then I was like, no, I'm not his father. I'm his brother. Then he's like, oh, I can't help you because the father needs to be here. And then I was like, are you serious, man? Are you serious? We get to the front of the line finally, and now we have to leave here and come back another day? Are you serious? But I was nice about it, you know. Internally, I was like that I just showed you. Externally, I was like, thank you, have a nice day. And then I walked away. And me and my brother walked away. And he was just disappointed. But I was livid, dude. Like, I could feel it was getting warm in here. Like, it was getting warm. And I was like, oh. But yeah, that's just my dealing with the government of the day, you know. Anyways, oh my word, we're actually about to head into overtime. we have a new book review to do today, and I actually I've been wanting to cover this book because definitely one of the most profound books I've ever read. They don't sell this book in bookstores. I had to order it online. I had to ask the bookstore people to order it. They say they even struggled to find a copy of this book. But anyways, there it is. It is Ordinary Men by Christopher Browning, and this book is a real look into human nature, um, human nature in extreme conditions. So I have some points here, some key takeaways that I've prepared for you, um, that I'd like to do as well. So yeah, so here it goes. Ordinary Men by Christopher Browning, and Christopher Browning is an historian. Anyway, so the first takeaway is that ordinary people can commit extraordinary atrocities, right? So, in the book, the author demonstrates that under certain circumstances, ordinary individuals can become perpetrators of even genocide. Genocide meaning killing a lot of people, okay? And also challenging the belief that only the extreme ideologues, only the extreme believers in certain ideologies, and only the fanatics of these ideologies are capable of doing such acts. So you would imagine that in Nazi Germany, it's only the real mad people who would commit horrible crimes. But actually, during the Nazi occupation of Poland, um, the people were killed by just normal guys, middle-aged, retired police guys, or almost close to retirement police guys. Um, so just to give you a little bit about some background of the book itself, the book is basically before we carry on with the other four key points, the book is about a group of men, and it's a big group of men. There's several battalions of policemen, right? And these are policemen who were born and who grew up way before the idea of the Nazis came about, way before the idea of the anti-Semitism and the superior race and all that nonsense, right? Way before that, these people were already men. They were already grown up and had children and have families. So they weren't infected by any sort of ideology. These were just normal guys. They didn't really buy into the idea of the Nazis and all that. They weren't Nazis themselves. They were just like, we have a job to do. So these guys were even reserve policemen. These are doctors, these are lawyers, these are workmen, people who build, wooden structures, carpenters and plumbers and electricians and all that. And these guys are the ones who are called on to go and just take care of things in Poland. And basically, they are told, listen, guys, what we're gonna do here is gonna be terrible. We need to take this whole village of people and murder each and every one of them. We need to kill each and every one of these people here. If you're in, let's go. If you're out, I totally understand. That was what the leaders told them. And most of them were just maybe by some bravado, or the facade of bravado. Bravado is a facade. Anyways, they have this bravado and they're like, nah, we're going to do it. So they do it, and they commit some horrible, horrible things. They literally, killed people. So they start out, obviously, very reluctantly, taking people one by one into the forest and shooting them, and then into a ditch, and then the next group of people, and so until, but then it took too long. They were like, nah, it takes too long. We just need to line them up and fire away, eventually. But the story just goes that it starts small. It starts with, guys, let's just do this thing. It's gonna be ugly, but let's do it. It starts there, with eventually these guys having a blast, playing games. They're like, okay, lady, we're gonna take your clothes. I know you're pregnant, but we're gonna take your clothes. You're gonna run in the field, and one of us are gonna try and shoot you. And that's what they did. They literally ended up playing games with people's lives. And so what the book is demonstrating, because this is a historical book, this is not fiction, people. This is not fiction. This is an historical account. This is a what is the word, an historian's work that he researched, that he collected from many different reputable sources and put it together in this book. Okay, with lots of evidence to back it up, lots of records that were kept. Apparently the Nazis were excellent record keepers. Anyways, um, so the next point is the influence of peer pressure and conformity. So, like I said, there's a lot of people who decided I'm gonna do this, and then everybody else who was really reluctant was like, okay, if they're gonna do it, then I'm gonna do it as well. And then even the need to conform. So the book highlights how peer pressure, group dynamics, and the behavior, and the desire, sorry, I read that wrong, I that read wrong, and the desire to fit in can significantly influence individual behavior, leading otherwise morally upright individuals to commit horrible acts. So it also demonstrates a bit the power of peer pressure, is that you can end up doing something that is totally opposite to who and what you are, to what you stand for, totally opposite to that, just by peer pressure, you know. So I love that, because we like to think of peer pressure. Our first impression of peer pressure is rather just, oh, my friends are doing drinking at school, I'm also gonna do drinking at school, But it can go so far as to just murdering a bunch of innocent people, you know, simply because they belong to a different religious group or ethnic group. Anyways, the third point, obedience to authority, right? Browning emphasizes the role of obedience to authority figures, showing how orders from superiors can override personal morals and ethical considerations, leaving individuals to carry out actions they might have found abhorrent under normal circumstances. So, under normal circumstances, if it wasn't an order, right? Because obviously they have received orders from the higher ups, but then the leader of the team, of the battalion, he's still like, guys, you can still sit this one out, But obviously, because you want to be obedient to your leaders, it might take you that far. So at some point, you have to be able to think for yourself and question, to say, guys, I don't think we should be doing this. This is wrong. We should stop this, Not just sitting out, because if you're someone who's just not participating, you're no better than the person actually committing the act, because you are allowing it to take place without you intervening in any way. So whether or not you are a participant, it's still gonna happen. So the idea is that you might think, and this is the point of the book really, you might think that you're like, not me, I would never do that. Right. What this book is proving is that it could be you. You could be that person that's going to do something absolutely reprehensible, simply under certain circumstances. And that's the evidence here. This book is full of evidence, right? And then we have a complexity of moral responsibility. The book raises complex questions about moral responsibility and culpability, prompting readers to consider the extent to which individuals are responsible for their actions in extreme situations where moral norms are distorted. So if the norm of something is kind of terrible, but it's normal, nobody's going to think twice about it. Think about in early European societies where if someone committed a crime, there would be a public execution and everyone would just be like, yes, someone's going to get killed. That would be normal. But in today's life, the idea is so terrible. And yet, if it were to become something normal eventually, because all things become normal eventually, especially if it happens often enough, it might be perfectly acceptable. You're like, come kids, let's go. We're going to go watch someone get hanged. That's just how human beings are. And the questions that are raised here is just, okay, so even if I receive orders about something that's wrong, it's right of me to follow orders. That's my responsibility. However, if this thing that I'm doing is wrong, then perhaps the whole thing is wrong, So it really puts you in a very weird position ethically and morally when reading this book, because again, you're not going to think, not me. You're going to be like, wow, look, these are normal guys. I'm a normal person. Well, not me. I'm not normal, but you might be thinking that. And then you're like, I'm a normal person. Could I be this bad? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Okay. Then the human capacity for violence. That's the final takeaway here. Ordinary men underscores the potential for violence within all of us, challenging the notion of innate goodness and emphasizing the importance of understanding the psychological and situational forces that contribute to acts of cruelty and genocide. So that's a very interesting point, because I think in order for us to actually be fully actualized as human beings, which is a top goal. If you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top one is self-actualization. So to be fully actualized, you need to be integrated with your shadow. That's the Jungian idea of the shadow. And the only way you can do that is basically, that's the process of dropping your naivety completely, is by recognizing that any person, no matter how good they seem, is capable, not to say that they are bad, but they are capable of being super bad, including yourself. And the sooner we all realize that, and that's the beauty about the point of this book, the sooner we all realize that, then you actually can become a good person. What might be, might not seem like a good person in the beginning, but eventually you recognize that this is actually a good person. Because being a good person is not the same as being harmless. It's not the same as being weak. It's not the same as being shy or scared. It's not the same. Just because you're scared to do something, or shy, or you feel that, no, I'm a bunny rabbit, that doesn't make you a good person. The people that decided to walk away from this shooting and killing, but still was, bore witness to it, they were not good people. And I love this. There's a line, I think it's Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who said that the line between good and evil runs straight through the heart of every human being. And that realization is what makes it possible for us to actually be fully actualized human beings, to actually be able to do good. I think it's, if we can recognize how dangerous we can be, then we know how good we truly can be. And that's beautiful. That's the message of this book. It really opens the window into, first of all, the seriously heavy historical significance of the World War II and the terrible things that took place, the crimes of war that took place, but also a nice window into the human soul and into the human psyche. Psyche does mean soul, by the way. I think it's either soul or spirit. But anyways, it opens a window into that and provides us with a real mirror of who and what we could be under certain circumstances. And the best thing to do would be to recognize that under those circumstances we might be guilty of such things. And with that said, make sure that we do not allow such circumstances to even take place. Prevent them as far as possible. Because how do you think those men felt? Some of them felt sick to their stomachs every single day. They literally would bring in truckloads of alcohol just so that as soon as these guys are done with this terrible thing, they get to drink themselves into oblivion and then wake up the next morning and then do the exact same thing. And though that's ordinary, man. I think if you really want to take a nice look into what human beings are truly capable of, I suggest you read this book. It's a wonderful work of literature. And yeah, so that's my book review. And I'm a very big proponent of books, of reading, of literature, because I think it's a declining form of art that I would hate to see disappear. I think there are kids out there that might have the potential to be the best authors, the best storytellers, the best writers out there, but because we take a dumb view of reading, because we think it's boring, we transfer that over to kids simply because we don't want to read. Now kids don't want to read, and then you basically, you've killed that person's potential without even realizing it. So let's not do that. Anyways, how do I end this off? Oh, so I started the show with a dream that I had. Here's another dream that I had. Absolutely bonkers, mate. Um, I had a dream that there was a giant crocodile. A giant, like I'm talking about. This thing was 50 meters long. It was 10 meters high. I don't know if that's proportional actually. 50 meters long, 10 meters high. That's not proportional. Let's say maybe 5 meters high. But how much is 5 meters? Oh, no, not 5 meters. Maybe like 2 meters. Okay. 50 meters long. Let me start the story again. 50 meters long, 5 meters high, 2 meters high. Anyways, that was, I think, pretty much the description. And it's at night. I don't know why all these wild dreams happen, in an evening setting. Very weird. But anyways, so it's night, and I'm hiding from this thing. But I am hiding with a fence, and a wire fence, with a mesh like that. Just wires woven together. You can clearly see me there, but luckily this thing doesn't see me. And it destroyed the house completely, and I just didn't stop it. I was just like, me. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where we can end the episode. I think we've gone a bit over time once again. But it's okay. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be good to yourself, and yeah, talk to you next week. Goodbye.